Hi, friends. This is Jim Wortham, and got got some sad news today. Um, as you may have read in one of my or heard me speak about me making a living on the stock market profits, today is a very special, unusual, and sad day. One of the largest funds in the world, mutual funds, if you want to call it a mutual fund or a trust. You could buy it like stocks or mutual funds. Was You had two owners or partners, whatever they called themselves, that ran it. One was Charlie Munger. The other was Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett was considered the genius. However, he says that his company would never be what it became if it wasn't for Charlie Munger, who died today at age 99 years old. And Becky Quick was interviewing him, as Becky Quick is on CNBC and has always lately interviewed both Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger, this caught my attention. He said he was 99 when he was being interviewed. He died 1 month before at 100 years old. But he told Becky Quick 2 weeks ago, I wish I had the energy at 99 that I had at 96 years old. Shocking, isn't it? I wish I had energy. So let's get on with some things that I personally um, personally know about bits and pieces of the company and them. And Charlie Munger said, "Whoever buys coins, those crypto coins, bitcoins, I'll never forget." He said, "They're not going to have a soft landing. It's not going to be a good outcome." Well, what do you think I thought? We're talking about one of the greatest financial minds. He had a law degree too, but he considered that his hobby and switched to this financial fund with Warren Buffett. Well, I sold all my crypto coins, and there's there's reason why I may never go back and buy anymore. There's nothing holding crypto coins up. There's no gold. There's no government guarantee. There's no government insurance. One company went broke that was the biggest broker, probably the biggest broker in the world, went broke. And the guy will be in prison till he's 120. Sam Bankman Fried, Fried, if you want to look him up. Sam Bankman, like Bankman, like a bank man, Fried. In 2 or 3 years, he almost bankrupted the whole reason for considering crypto coins. So that's a sidetrack off of both Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger were not fans of it and discouraged people not to get the crypto coins. Well, what do I remember? I remember reading Warren Buffett for the first time when I was poor, more poor than I am now. I was eating and walked into a drugstore and bought a magazine that was about Warren Buffett. I read about Warren Buffett and I thought, this is before a book was written about him. I read the article and I said, why isn't there any books on Warren Buffett? He appears to be an up and coming richest person in the world. At that time, I was in book publishing. Of course, having somewhat of a inferiority complex, didn't think that I could qualify if I called him up and asked to publish a book on his life up to then. Well, he's getting up there now. I think he's in his 90s, Warren Buffett is, and there is no shortage of books on him and his way of trading and people trying to imitate his way of trading. Now, Warren Buffett doesn't think he would have the company he had now if he'd have never met Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger's philosophy with trading is what mine has become. Bob, stick with just a few, 3 or 4 companies that are the best companies, even if they're high price companies. Well, for me, Google and Apple number 1, Google, and then I'll swing over to I have stocks in other things too, very minor amount in copper. You can't go without copper. Air conditioners need copper. So do pennies. So where I'm going with this is that Warren Buffett, the originator of the company called Berkshire Hathaway, was buying good companies with the hope of making a great profit. Then he meets Charlie Munger. He changes his whole attitude. Don't buy the good companies. Buy the best companies, even if you pay more than you really think they're worth. Did you know now, having said that, and I'm sure Charlie Munger was responsible for this in some degree, that the number 1 position of this mutual fund, let's call it a mutual fund, since that's a familiar word, Berkshire Hathaway. The biggest position they own is Apple Computers. AAPL is their New York Times stock symbol. AAPR, I'm pretty sure that's it. Well, it doesn't take much for me to make a decision when I hear from total experts. And then I heard a second remark that Warren Buffett said. He said, I'd buy the whole company of Apple if they let me. Well, guess what I own now and am living mostly on. They pay a dividend, okay? Every quarter of a year, every 3 months, they pay so much for each share that you own. Well, I won't share how much I own of Apple, but I will say this. Every time it goes up, it's close to 190 right now. But every time it goes up, I tell people you can't get enough of Apple. I like to see it go back down to where I started buying it, but that's not gonna work. It won't go down that far. Both men that we're talking about considered Apple the best run company of the world, as far as I could decipher from listening to them on YouTube and on TV. Why would I want to own anything else? For diversification. Even Munger says you need just three things, just three stocks. And I mentioned this on my YouTube channel on how I live off the stock market for a living. The three positions: Apple number one, by far, 80-90% of of my retirement. 90% of my retirement is in Apple stock. And these two guys said they would buy the company if they could. Well, the board of directors said Apple's not going to sell it, even to Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. Now, when you hear a statement like that from the richest people in the world, at one time they were the richest, and then all of a sudden, you know, they give away so much in donations to companies that they'll drop down to number two or number three, then go back up again. Take this and chew on it for a while. I don't know any other way to state what to do about this. Don't think about it, chew on it. They have 160 billion dollars in cash, just waiting for something good to come around to buy. Now let me state that again. I say chew on it because it's so hard to believe. I am not talking about millions. I'm talking about 160 billion dollars in cash, not stocks, not Apple. Nothing. Cash. Of course, that cash is in what you call CDs or money markets or whatever you want to call it, treasury bonds. They're all about the same. Well, not bonds. You can get some bad bonds if you get bond from a company, but treasury bonds, they're safe. Let me repeat that one more time. Their fund is holding on the side $160 billion. And I heard just a little bit ago it could right now be $180 billion because they're making so much interest per day. So it's somewhere between 160 billion and 180 billion dollars in cash. Well, they've been responsible for bailing out a bank or two that maybe should have gone bankrupt, but they didn't think so. That was a glorious risk for them that worked out well. I'm looking at this newspaper because I jotted some notes down. It hit me when I was eating shrimp in the bar. It's sort of a bar restaurant. I was eating shrimp, and it comes across breaking news: Charlie Munger, 99 years old, dies. He just wished he had enough energy 2 weeks ago that he had when he was 96 years old. That was the only thing he regretted. Well, I tell you, hit me in the gut when I saw and heard people talking about him. They're going to be talking about him on CNBC. That's the Financial News Network. I think that's the name of it. You can get all the information you want off of YouTube about either one of them, Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger. But I just wanted to share this because of their ages, 90s, him being 99, he's getting up there like Jimmy Carter, almost 100. But he missed it by a month. Let me tell you one thing. If you think older people have to have mental decline, listen to a few interviews with Charlie Munger on YouTube with Becky Quick. Becky Quick works for CNBC. She's the only person I know that has permission to do interviews with Warren Buffett every quarter of a year, I think, and it's broadcasted so early in the morning. I have to look at it when it's repeated. Let me also say CNBC being the only financial news network that's good, really good, and I know there's one or two other good ones on there, but that's probably the best. They have archives of everything that this company published by Warren Buffett, possibly by Charlie Munger too. They have archives. I think it's for free, but you just have to look at the archives for Warren Buffett and or for Berkshire Hathaway. Look to see how to access those archives. They've given away more money than you'd think, and still own the companies they own. I tell you something kind of interesting. I was a paper boy. I would get up and start delivering at 4, and then after, I hated school. So in high school, I started at 14 years old, delivering the Courier Journal was in the morning, the Louisville Times in the evening. So when I got off the bus, I went and got the evening papers and delivered them at 4. So I delivered at 4 in the morning and 4 in the evening. It didn't matter what the weather was like. Guess that's why the freezing weather, we almost had freezing. I think we had freezing weather here today in Madison, Indiana. Well, I'm finding out a lot of these rich old codgers. I'm talking about Warren Buffett here. was also a paper boy. Once you're a paper boy or paper girl, you're going to find it very hard to work for people your whole life. I worked for myself for about 35 years. It wasn't that I couldn't get along with people. People just weren't doing things right. I took over a counseling center here in this town after they went through 4 directors, and I figured out quickly what was wrong. I needed to fire the whole administrative staff and 1 or 2 of the therapists for billing Medicaid and Medicare clients that were never seen, for billing group therapy for substance abuse that never happened. It's the hardest thing in my life to do. I had to have the director over me plus the HR person. We all got in the car, came in from another town where the headquarters was, and fired everybody. We kept some of the therapists. All the staff went because they were hiding money. There was a big counter. You see those counters that are on the desk, and they're big and white, and the whole month. Then you take the month off, and you're there at the other month. Well, I lifted that counter up, which has a cardboard backing, and there was nothing but cash, uncanceled checks, tons. I don't want to say tons of them, but they were using that as have fun money when they wanted to do something, take a trip somewhere. Who would have thought of putting hiding cash underneath a calendar? But it was the second. It was the office manager's uh, uh, office desk, and they were always saying this is, let's call her name Julie. This is Julie's uh, room. She doesn't want you to come to her room. They call it Judy's Zone. Zone. You've heard of AutoZone. Well, that's a spinoff. Well, got all those checks, got all that money. Then complaints. Found a bunch of complaints where people were not treated as clients should be. I was their director 3 years. I had a chance to clean it up and leave, and never worked again for anyone because I was a paper boy, and I could never not stay a paper boy. Meaning, I had to go back to working for myself, collecting my own money, saving my own money, and during the paperboy time, 14 on up, I bought stocks. You know more of my life now. If you go through a couple of the other past ones I've done a few days ago, you're going to even figure out how I meet women and have a little bit of success at that. Okay, I think everything else you'd like to know. I don't know if you want to know when Charlie Munger was born. I think it was 2024, January the 1st. Wait a minute, I wrote it down for you before I got on here. January the 1st, 1924. Died today. Warren Buffett is probably in tears. I want to share this with you because it was a special moment, and I feel like I was one of the first people to recognize this company and Warren Buffett. I didn't know of Charlie Munger at the time, but I said, why does no one know about him? This is the only article about this guy. Take a look at Amazon, put Warren Buffett in there and see what you see. What, 50 books? 50 books? I could have written his first book if I'd have had confidence and could get through to him. At that time, he did not have a computer in his office room when he started this company, this mutual fund. He didn't have a computer in this room. Um, I suspect they didn't have cell phones either then. I'm going to leave you with this because I've done the same thing. The Great Depression. If you walk out of Warren Buffett's office, he's got it framed. Newspaper article about the Great Depression, and people say, why do you have that up there? He says, to remind me it could happen again, to have plenty of cash on the side. Well, I thought about that. And I've had some bad decisions with stocks. Um, the last bad one, I remember this one Canadian pharmaceutical company sold me a couple $1,000s worth of useless stock and healing aids. They never did it, and I lost all my money. But recently, it's a gambling. It became a gaming company. It started out under a different name. I can't even think of the name of it, but let me tell you, I've kept it. Global Gaming Incorporated, if I remember, from Canada. Look it up. Look it up on Google. You'll enjoy this. Because you'd think the place was prospering and making money. Nobody answers the phone. It's worth $0. I've got it in my retirement account. A big position of it. I never sold it because as it was coming down from $7 to $3 to $2 to $1, and then it finally started trading around 10 cents and 20 and 30. And what? Isn't that a good deal to buy it at that price? Let's load up on some more of that. And that way, when it goes back up to $30 and starts hitting 100 and all that, look at the money I'll have. And they were going to get into crypto coins too, by the way. So I loaded down with it. And for the last year, I see 0.00 over what was made that day and what was made over the last year. Now, I tell people about this, and people that know me may have seen that on my computer. What's all these thousands of shares of global gaming that you've got? Is that your own company or something? Or is that when you're starting up? I said, no. He said, why don't you sell it? Get that thing off of your records. You don't want people to know that you've got that many thousands of dollars that's now worth zero. Thousands of shares, once thousands of dollars, now worth zero. I said, man, you don't understand. You never listened to Warren Buffett, did you? I keep that to remind me that one decision could lose all my money. Also, that any company could go bankrupt. I don't think Apple will. I don't think Google will. But I gave up forecasting a long time ago. Well, folks, I know this has been long. It's been more about my journey with watching these folks. But I wanted to be one of the first ones to give you an inside thought of a person that's followed him only on paper and in books and news. I've never met either one of these people, but I thought it was worth jumping on and sharing it. I don't know if anybody will watch this, but it's now going on 32 minutes. But if you have, I hope some of it's been knowledgeable. I hope some of it's been um, inspirational and maybe enjoyable. Feel free to leave me any messages. If you like it, put thumbs up. If you don't, put thumbs down. I notice most people don't put thumbs either way, so they hadn't made up their mind yet. Also, I'm open for subscriptions if you want to subscribe. Have a great day. Talk to you in the next day or two again.